We've been covering a lot of ground this weekend. We started out over at Gulfstream Park, then we moved to Aqueduct. Now we're going to head out west to Santa Anita to the Great Race Place. It's Big Cap Day. That's one of the headliners, but we're going to be focused on race number 8 because Kentucky Derby points are on the line in the San Felipe. This is an important race, David. You're going to have 3 Bob Baffert runners in here as he generally kind of holds the key to these horses on the West Coast. He has so many horses, he can kind of pick and choose where he wants to run them. He'll have a couple of them scheduled to run in this 8th race. So let's take a look at the field for the San Felipe here. The number 1, Mellencamp, is one of those 3 Bob Baffert runners, but he's still a maiden. He's raced 4 times. He has not been able to get a win yet, but he has shown some talent in a couple of those starts. You think he can sing the right tune in this one?
Yeah, all the horses trying to get into the Kentucky Derby have to earn points along the way per the rules set out by Churchill Downs, and this race obviously worth qualifying points. And there are new rules this year where if there are less than 6 runners, that the points offered are reduced. And Bob Baffert feels like he entered Mellencamp in this race to make sure that the full number of points are on the line for his other 2 more fancied runners, Barnes and Rodriguez.
Completely agree here. Right next door to Mellencamp, though, is a horse who could be a spoiler to the Bob Baffert runners, and that's Journalism. He has been very impressive, really, in all 3 of his races, but the last 2 in particular, and he is already a graded stakes winner. He won the Grade 2 Los Al Futurity back in December. What's nice about him, he has already gone a mile and a mile and a 16th. So he has a little bit of foundation already with his just 3 starts. And he seems to have some real versatility with his running style. I wouldn't be shocked to see him kind of placed in different spots throughout his career. So he just seems like a real talented horse, David.
Yeah, he reminds me of that horse Sovereignty that we talked about earlier in the Fountain of Youth, who's also making his first start as a 3-year-old. But I'm going to take a more positive view of this one because I really liked the progression that he showed last year. And I've watched some of his workouts coming into this race, his morning training, the timed drills. Just feels like he's really cranked up to deliver a good effort. It's going to be tough to overcome the Bob Baffert trio, but I feel like this horse has a good chance to do so.
Next one up is the number 3, Barnes. He's right towards the top of this division right now, right, David? I mean, he would probably be one of the betting favorites if the Kentucky Derby were to be run this weekend. He's been impressive in his 2 wins, and I don't really have many knocks on him overall as a horse. Just from a gambling standpoint, he's not the type of horse who you're going to get rewarded by betting. He's going to be a short price, but he's certainly kind of the measuring stick, I think, right now for this group and probably for a lot of the division.
Yeah, right now Barnes is a little bit more hype than he is substance because it feels like the narrative around this horse makes him out to be a little better than the data that you see on the sheet would tell you he is. But he definitely looks like a horse that's really cranked up to deliver a good effort here. Bob Baffert is lethal in these Derby prep races, so you would expect him to give a good account of himself on Saturday.
And there's another Bob Baffert runner right next door in the number 4, Rodriguez. And in just listening to some of Bob's comments and reading through some of the Racing Form previews from Daily Racing Form consultants, Brad Free and Steve Anderson, some of our colleagues, they do a great job setting it up. That Rodriguez seems like one of the Baffert horses that's a little behind, kind of green still, sort of figuring things out, David. In his most recent race, he was involved early, and then he kind of dropped way back. It almost looked like he was like done. He was going to be pulled up or something. And then he came on again. It was not what you normally see in a race, but a lot of times that shows you that it's a young horse who's kind of figuring things out. This horse probably has a pretty high ceiling, though, at some point. I just wonder if it's going to be on Saturday or maybe a little farther down the line.
When you've got the multiple Bob Baffert runners in this race, sometimes it feels in watching these races like they're doing a choreographed dance where one is instructed to be in a certain position at a certain point in the race. And Rodriguez was instructed to get an education last time. We'll see if that education pays off in this race.
And then I think to the outside, probably the 2 longest shots in the field and 2 horses that are coming in off of form that just isn't quite as good as the other 4. Now, Smooth Cruisin' did win a race, the number 5, and he came back in the San Vicente, had a slow start. He finished 4th in that race. He was behind Barnes. I mean, he does have some talent, but he's just going to be facing horses that seem like they're a little quicker than him and a couple other really good horses in here.
In both races, this horse has been slow getting away from the gate, and you can't give up any advantage to the Bob Baffert horses in here.
Especially the smaller fields, it just makes it harder for you. If you spot that field, some ground, you're going to be in trouble. We round out the field with Berlin Wall. Can you make a long shot case for this one, David?
Maybe underneath to complete a trifecta, because this horse I feel like will be coming on at the end. He's not the same quality as some of the favorites that we've talked about, but I do think he's got upside.
So as we put up selections for the San Felipe, I want to say a big thanks again to Pete Rotundo for joining us. Thanks to producer Mike and producer Lucia for helping us out with this show. David's going to stack the two journalism on top. Look for a little value. I'll go with Rodriguez on top. Whoever you play, however you play them this weekend, we wish you the best of luck.